Hey, welcome to Sex, Drugs, and Chronic Depression. I'm Jayme Cartwright, and today Emily Shaver and I are probably going to make a lot of jokes about sexy sex, druggy drugs, and super sad times. Also, other mental health related topics, with the purpose being to hopefully make you laugh, maybe teach you something along the way, while keeping it entertaining, and most importantly, we want you to know that you're not alone in this, and we never intend offense with our jokes. On a more serious note, we are likely to touch on potentially triggering subjects, including but not limited to violence, various types of abuse, self-harm, even suicide. Again, in no way do we ever intend to be offensive. In addition, we never mean to belittle any aspect concerning these topics and always try to approach with a respectful manner, as respectfully as possible. Most importantly, if you are in a place right now where you feel that there's no way out, if you're a danger to yourself or others, we do care, and please, I can't implore you enough, reach out to a close friend, a family member, a trusted adult, even if that means calling your local hospital, church, or the National Suicide Hotline at 1-800-273-TALK. Again, that's 1-800-273-8255. And hope you enjoy the pod. Let's get on with that.
Hey, what's up, you guys? Yes. Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. This is Sex, Drugs, and Chronic Depression. My name is Emily, and that over there is Jayme.
Yeah, sorry if we've tricked you into thinking this was a Shane Dawson video by that intro.
Because that was perfect and exactly the way Shane does it, duh.
Exactly the same. You sounded...
He gives himself a round of applause.
uncannily similar.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know
I've
what?
been working on it.
You're welcome.
Does Chuck E. Cheese reuse their pizza? That's my impression of a Shane Dawson video, because I'm not trying to work on my Shane Dawson impression. I'm trying to impersonate a Shane Dawson video. Remember that.
Okay.
Okay.
No, I'll keep that at the top of my list of things to finger. Well, yeah. You might be wondering why we're talking about Shane Dawson if you didn't read the title, which I'm sure you have.
Oh shit! Then we did it wrong.
Oh,
it should have been, "Hey, what's up, you guys?" Yes.
Anyway, we're talking
or
about
just the "Hey, what's up, you guys?" Conspiracy time. But we're not going to talk about conspiracies yet. We're first going to do our segments. We talk about the best and worst things of our week. Jayme, tell me about the worst thing in your week this week.
Well, okay. It was going to be Ruby because she's been like more energetic than normal, but she's calmed down quite a bit lately. And
proud.
She's a lot better. But
very good.
Okay, someone we have talked about on this podcast in the past, I believe in Moments of Praise, we talked about him even. His name is Chris from The Rewired. His YouTube channel is The Rewired Soul. And lately he's been in sort of a controversy. He's taking a break.
Some hot water.
He's in some hot water. He's taking a break from YouTube, and he, like, what fucks me up is, like, I had stopped watching him a little bit because I was like, he's getting it's a little too much, you know, and he would upload like
right.
videos a day almost.
Right. I also stopped watching him.
And what I found out today was that he had 0 credentials and was basically diagnosing people with saying that he wasn't diagnosing people.
Right. He was essentially going in being like, "Hey, I don't have any credentials, but these are things that look like BPD to me."
He
Which
wouldn't even
is
say
like,
that. He would say, "We're gonna use Trish Paytas, who we stan, and she is a
this
skinny."
podcast this podcast does recognize Trisha Paytas as a skinny legend. That is correct.
He made over 17 videos alone on her, even and he kept
Yeah.
making them even after she, like, asked him to stop. Like, granted, she was were there they was wrong on both sides. She was, like, really rude in a couple of her videos too, but, like, she did ask him to stop at a certain point, and, like, he was basically like, "We can't stop talking about this, blah, 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 blah. You can't enable people like that." And it's like, dude, she's not asking for your help at this point. Like, just give it a rest.
Right. There are some YouTubers like Thomas Halbert who were really taking to the advice, liked the advice, and the two of them had a connection
Mhm.
so they would move forward and be able to do stuff together. But he just also acted like a drama channel and kind of hit some of these people over the head over and over and over again without any necessity to it.
The other one that bothered me was Bobby Burns. He has since taken down all of these videos too, which bothered
Good.
it. Well, okay, I'm glad he took them down, but like, obviously he knows he did something wrong here. So like, he would have known he was doing it wrong
Right.
when he put him up. I feel like,
He accused Bobby Burns of being under the influence of drugs
yeah,
when
when he
he
got in a
crashed
car
his
crash,
car.
yeah.
Yeah,
So that's
it's not
essentially,
okay.
yeah, that's essentially accusing someone of a DUI, and that's not okay. And the
No.
only evidence he had to base that off of was his Instagram had him he would smoke weed in a state where weed was recreationally legal, and he's of age to,
Dude,
so he would post on his Instagram him smoking weed.
if we had legal weed and I had an Instagram with a whole bunch of clout on it, all I would do is use it to get free weed. Are you kidding me? Because that's what Bobby Burns is doing.
Oh, okay, okay. See,
That's
I
essentially
don't know him well
he
enough.
like
I've
he
watched that
smokes.
Jane series with him, but other than that,
Right. I watched some of his other videos before he smoked weed, before he was a part of Shane's crew, whatever
uh,
happened there. And I still followed him on Instagram, and I noticed he was constantly like doing ad deals with blunt wraps and stuff like that, which
oh,
that's smart as
I
shit
didn't
because he
realize
has
they
an
were ad deals.
a lot of them are. Yeah,
That's
if you go and you look
that
into
is
their
smart.
descriptions. Right. He was just getting free weed. That's all he was doing.
If he's yeah, I mean, if that's
You
what you
can't base
wanna do,
Instagram off life, like, or life off Instagram.
he's
That's
saving
not how that
money
works.
that way, essentially, because
That's
he's gonna
essentially, yeah.
smoke anyway, so you might as well get it
You
for
might
free.
as well,
Uh,
yeah.
I mean, I'm su Anyway,
You
back
use your
back
clout
to
for
the
free
rewired
shit.
soul.
I'm sorry, but I'm just saying, like, you can't base these assumptions off Instagram. Come
Yeah,
on.
exactly.
I would be using it to get free weed. That's essentially what it looks like Bobby Burns is doing too.
The
It's
okay,
recreationally legal.
yeah, exactly.
Goddamn.
But the worst thing I thought about it was that, like, he was selling courses online prior to having a YouTube career, The Rewired Soul was. Courses for, like, how to anger management, whatever, what have you, for about $25, I think it was. Petty Page had a whole video on this that was amazing and described everything to a detail, did a lot of research and whatnot. But he 2 years ago up made it 4 times the price almost. It's almost $100 now.
Right.
And why? If you're just trying to help people,
And
like, I
that's been his
understand, and
thing. Is he says he wants to help people, but
it's starting to not look that way to me,
yeah, same.
and that it bugs me. And there was like live streams of him where he was like laughing about having no credentials and being able to say whatever the fuck he wants, and like, that's fine, and that would be okay if you said it in every single video that was the case.
Oops, I just knocked something.
Even had
Sorry.
a tiny disclaimer or something. I don't care, but like, did like,
Right, right, right. Now I
don't
get you.
constantly say
I
you're a
get you.
drama channel. Don't constantly say you're trying to help people while simultaneously stirring the pot.
Yeah, because that was my biggest problem with him is that he would not ever admit to being a drama channel.
Right.
You're a drama channel, dude. Like, sorry, you found a real cool way of spinning it, but
Mhm.
that's how I watched The Rewired Soul, is
Same.
as a drama channel. Sorry
Same.
if you're not as cute as you think you really are, buddy.
Yeah, and something that Emily and I were talking about this earlier, and something that you brought up about mental illness in like the public eye and how we're careful to not act like clinicians
Yeah.
and like this guy's just like pretending that I don't know, like it never really occurred to me that he hadn't had at least some kind of schooling or something.
Right, at least like a master's degree, buddy. You gotta be
Yeah, I
coming
don't
on up in
know.
here with
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Anyway, what's your audacity? Let's talk about something else.
Dude, okay. Twitch streaming is really hard.
I
I
mean,
don't know if you
I can
know,
imagine.
dude, I don't know if people listening know what Twitch is, but it's a live streaming website where people play video games or they just like hang out with people and stuff like that in for like hours and hours at a time. And I started doing that and it's really fucking hard.
Well, because you're kind of essentially having a one-sided conversation for an hour.
Yeah, that's essentially what it ended up being because I don't really have a lot of people in my chats because nobody wants to hang out with little old Emily.
Because you always stream while I'm at work, bitch.
Dude, I'm working on it. Speaking of, if anybody wanted to follow me on Twitch, I'm Mscara, like mascara, but with em instead of ma. So
We stand.
Mscara.
Plug that plug.
Plug the plug.
Hey.
Let you know that I'm gonna stream on Saturday around noon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'll try to be there. I probably can be
yeah,
there because I think Eric goes out of town this weekend.
yeah. Mike's gonna be out of the house, and I'll be able to stream on Saturday. So the Saturday after this goes up.
So, like, can I come visit you this weekend?
Oh hell yeah,
Fuck yeah. Mike's gonna be
we can
gone.
discuss
Eric's gonna
this.
be gone. Me, you, and Ruby can have a girls' day plus Tucker.
Yes, plus Tucker, a girl's day plus Tucker. That is my dream. But no, you could totally do that. Because it's really hard to stream, and especially being as like over medicated as I've been recently,
Can
that
I be
makes
on
it
your
even
stream?
harder. Yeah, bitch.
Yes! Can I play Free Cell? No.
Yeah.
Tri-Peaks. Tri-Peaks is my shit.
Okay. Okay. I'll have to get some of that shit.
If you
But
have
yeah.
if you have Windows 10, it's pre-downloaded. You got it.
Okay. I already got it. I love you. So yeah, tune in. Jamie and I are gonna stream on Saturday.
Hey!
I don't even know what day it is today, so why am I trying to think of the date? Whatever. The
Spontaneous Saturday
Saturday
stream.
streams. Tune in. I'm
Saturday
gonna
is the
try
9th. The 9th of March.
Saturday the 9th of March. I will be streaming with Jamie, and then I'm gonna stream on my own on Saturday, so I'm gonna try to do it. And yeah, just to keep me busy until I find a new job and the whole 9 yards.
Ayo.
So yeah. I have some praise though that I'm very excited about.
Yeah, you should it's apparent.
Your bitch has gotten her meds adjusted. We
Woo!
have we're trying something new that's kind of expensive because there's no generic for it, but it's called Latuda.
I've heard of that from commercials, depression
Yes,
commercials on TV.
it's for bipolar depression.
Interesting.
Yeah, because the only other option for that I wasn't really tolerating, which is Seroquel. And
Oh,
other than that, it's lithium is the option, which
still?
it's not gonna. Yes,
What?
lithium is still used for bipolar depression.
That blows my mind.
Yep. So I am trying Latuda. I'm really excited. I started it yesterday, and I already feel like maybe I was having some drowsiness from the Seroquel or something because it's already better.
You
Also, I
already
still have a sinus infection. Yeah, it'll help when I finally get rid of my goddamn sinus infection too. I'm tired of this thing.
I'm sorry. I've been having sinus issues for a while too, and it just snowed, so I think it just took all the pollen away from the air. It
Oh,
like
look at
smashed
you.
it down under the snow, so it hasn't been as bad.
Is that how it works?
That's how it scientifically works. The pollen
The
gets
pollen
smashed
gets
under the snow
smashed.
so deep that like
Oh,
you can
I
no
love
longer
that.
get it in your nostrils.
Okay, is
Yeah,
that how that works?
that's how science
Cool.
is. Yeah.
Very nice. All right, go ahead. Tell me what
Oh
your
yeah,
praise
it's my
is, ma'am.
Well, okay, yeah. I didn't really have like anything significant. I Today actually something significant did happen at work that I was going to use my moment of praise, but I still want to mention Tia Mar. I believe that's how you pronounce it. It's spelled Teamarrr. She's a
Is it
musician.
Timar?
Huh?
Is it just T or is it Tia?
I don't know if it's T or Tia, but it's spelled like T. But anyway, it's for she reminds me of like Lizzo, who deserves
Love
her own
Lizzo.
moment of praise, honestly.
She really does.
This podcast stands Lizzo. But she also kind of sounds like Jessie Reyez or like Tinashe.
We
She's
also, yeah.
she's really smooth and like I sent you that video of her. So look up her video One Job.
Oh, is that
She is
her?
yes, she
She's
is a queen.
amazing, and
She's beautiful.
she
And
reminds me of my stepsister.
she's
It's like
I like her a lot. She's
she's such a bad bitch.
yes.
No, you only had one job. The
The fuck.
fuck. I love it so
Yes.
much.
I love it. Yeah, just look her up. But anyway, today what happened was one of my coworkers gave me the ring, the one ring, the ring of power.
Oh, the
It-
one ring to rule them all.
yeah, yes. He was like, I didn't know what your size was, so I just got the biggest one. I was like, cool, thank you. Appreciate that. And I was like, it was like the coolest thing. It's like a gold ring with the inscription. I doubt it's real gold, but like it's the coolest thing. And I have it
That's fantastic.
sitting on my Gandalf figurine at work that I keep at my desk. Yes, I have.
Oh,
We talked about Lord of the Rings like twice. Me and this. He's a manager from
that's adorable.
he might be in the basement. I don't
You're
know.
in the
I don't know. Whatever.
basement.
But yeah, I'm a loader nerd, so that made me feel good.
A loader nerd.
Yo, you know it. Anyway,
Speaking of which, did you watch Sophia Nygaard's latest video?
dude, I told you I can't. I don't know.
Really?
I
Aw, I
I'm
love
just
her.
not. Just send it to me then. I'll try.
Okay.
I'll try one more
Okay.
time.
You have to try just for me because she reminds me of myself too much.
Okay. That
She's
one
really
girl that I just showed you reminds me of you. What's her name? Oh no, this is gonna bug.
Gosh darn it. Here. It's Nisa Pisa, I guess.
Yes. That's what I just
Yeah, is that what you found? Okay. Sorry, I wasn't sure, so I wanted to make sure. But yeah, Nisa Pisa. She reminds me of my own humor, but she's just way better at it.
She's very, very good at the one-liners. She
She's
calls
very
Jeffree Star Jefferson Starship, and it kills me.
It kills me too. I really love that.
She's not a fan of him, but she's still kind and I would say fair,
dude.
based on
She
her
has
stuff. She has a lot of opinions.
Jeffree Star is one of those people that I can't really fault you either side of the line because unless you're a stan,
yeah,
like
diehard stands. I just can't.
diehard Jefferson Starship stands. I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about that. But if you don't like him for whatever reason, or you do like him for whatever reason, he's a very divisive figure. And conflicting. Are you okay? You're making a terrible face.
I'm staring at Eric play the game. Like, okay, you know when you get the page cannot be found, and it's got the where you could jump over things. He was just playing that, so I was staring at him like, what the fuck? The fuck?
You're a nerd.
Oh yeah, guys, if you hear a male voice in the background at any point or a puppy, that's my dog and my boyfriend.
And he also has
Oh,
one job. Oh. He also has one job to control the Ruby. So,
yes.
you know.
If Ruby gets out of control, blame Eric.
The fuck.
One job.
One job. The fuck. Just setting jokes up for later.
So should we get into the thick?
Let's get right into it.
Let's get into the thick. So, as we said, we're talking about conspiracy theories today. When you just straight up Google's conspiracy, the definition is a secret plan by a group to do something unlawful or harmful. And if you read the title today, like we said, we are cover. Oh, okay. I should have read the whole sentence. We're covering conspiracies again. I said that. Okay. The most important thing to do is mention that these are all theories, and we have to preface this. We have no proof of anything that we're going to talk about today. They're all ideas used to account for seemingly inexplicable situations. Also, I have read several places that YouTube is going to try to suppress conspiracy theory videos because that's the main place people go to learn about these things. And I'm kind of annoyed at that because I love this shit, even if it's like the most far-fetched shit that like I couldn't even ever believe, like some Alex Jones-esque shit, which we will get into.
But some of these things can be harmful, in my opinion.
Yeah, but not like a video about like flat Earth is not gonna hurt someone.
Yeah,
It's like where do you draw the line is the thing.
That's fair. That is very fair.
And
I wonder about where to draw the line
take
myself.
all of them down, I don't know if, or not take them all down, but suppress them.
It just gives people more reason to think there is a conspiracy, in my opinion.
That's kind of how I felt about it. Like, I don't know. And I personally am just interested. And like, I like to see how people come up with such creative explanations for things that are inexplicable.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That is really interesting because, like, especially things like, you know, flat Earth.
Yeah. That's a huge one. It's like as big as the Earth.
Aha!
Yeah, and that's the first one we're going to talk about. Good segue there.
Oh, thank you. I didn't even notice.
Oh, good. Well, good guess then. Flat Earth is one of the most popular conspiracies that everybody's probably heard about at one time or another. The belief that Earth is flat has been described as the ultimate conspiracy theory. It first emerged in 19th century England, despite the Earth's spherical nature having been known since at least the time of Pythagoras. Walking around on the planet's surface, it looks and feels flat, so flat earthers deem all evidence to the contrary, such as satellite photos of Earth as a sphere, to be fabrications of a round Earth conspiracy orchestrated by NASA and other government agencies.
Like, why though? Like, why would we be spending time, effort, and energy doing that?
Well, we'll get there. But I'm sure there's different reasons for each one because there are many different flat Earth theories. There's not just one. But we're going to talk about the leading one today. We don't have time to get to all of them, essentially. There's just too many.
That's fair.
The leading one says that Earth is a disk and the Arctic Circle is in the very center. Then Antarctica is a 150-foot wall of ice that surrounds the entire rim of the disk. They say NASA employees guard the ice wall to prevent people from climbing over it and falling off the disk, which is interesting because legally you are not allowed to go into Antarctica. That's a fact.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are you really not?
No.
Under whose jurisdiction?
I don't know. I don't know. I remember hearing that. Honestly, I do not know. I just know it's illegal to go so far into Antarctica.
Huh.
I watched way too many videos on this. I got confused a lot too.
No way. That's almost like the way they hook them or something.
Oh yeah. So like, how do you explain the day and night, right? Earth's day and night cycle. The sun and the moon are spheres. They are in fact spheres, measuring 32 miles across and move in circles about 3,000 miles above the plane of Earth. Stars move in a plane that's about 100 miles above that. Similar to spotlights, these spheres illuminate different portions of the planet within a 24-hour cycle. There must also be an invisible, quote unquote, anti moon that obscures the moon to
What?
explain lunar eclipses. So, why would the government hide this, right? Obviously, it's financial reasons. The Flat Earther website FAQ page says, quote, in a nutshell, it would logically cost much less to fake a space program than to actually have one. So, those in on the conspiracy profit from funding NASA and other space agencies receive from the government. So
Okay.
furthermore, gravity is an illusion. Objects do not accelerate downward. Instead, the Earth disk accelerates upward at 32 feet per second, driven by a mysterious force that they call dark energy. As for what lies
Wow.
underneath the disk of Earth, that's unknown, but most flat earthers who believe in this particular offset believe it's composed of rocks and photos. Blah, 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 blah. They believe it's composed of rocks, and then photos of the globe showing it as a sphere are photoshopped. GPS devices in planes are also rigged to make pilots think that they're flying in straight lines around a sphere, when in actuality they're flying just in circles above the disk.
Wait, so are the aircraft like what's the word for it? Or the phrase? The air traffic controllers, are they in on the flat earth? Or are they getting tricked as well? Like, there's so many
Yeah.
aspects of this that make no sense.
I mean, obviously they have to trick the people who are flying the planes too, because if they just knew that they were flying around a flat earth, what
there would be chaos.
I don't. Is it just? Yeah, you're right. A lot of it just doesn't make sense.
Well, it's because it's like the last of the conspiracy theories. Like, we started with it because we decided to go in a different direction when it comes to structuring this podcast, but this is the end of the line. If you watch the Netflix documentary about flat earth conspiracies, that's one of the first things they establish, is that this is the end all be all when it comes to conspiracy theories, is flat earth. Because who the fuck believes in a flat earth?
Apparently there are people, but
Apparently.
yeah. We're gonna talk about a more plausible one next, though.
Oh, and what is that, ma'am? What is that?
It's a simulation.
It's a simulation. Like, everything's a simulation.
Like life.
Little Johnny's a simulation.
Little Johnny, little Scruffy, little
Ruber, even?
No, Ruby is real. She's so cute and the best. She's the best puppy ever. She's right here, and I'm petting her, and she's the best.
Okay, that's fair.
Anyway,
but everything else
is a simulation.
Obviously.
So the simulation hypothesis or theory proposes that all of reality, including the Earth, the universe, is in fact an artificial simulation. Most likely a computer simulation. Essentially, we live in the movie The Matrix. If you have watched the Shane series, this won't be anything new to you because I'm going to talk about the Elon Musk article that he discussed a little bit. But he is one of the smartest men on the planet, and he believes this to be true.
Is that? Is he?
I think he's.
Is he though?
I think he's.
Is he really? I just believe it's debatable that Elon Musk is one of the smartest men to have ever lived, or whatever.
Okay,
because people like
that's fair. He's
people like to
decently
put
smart
him on a
man. Elon
pedestal.
Musk believes this to
Oh,
be true.
absolutely. Decently smart by far. Very good at what he does. Messiah, I don't really think so.
No, I don't think that either. I just do think he's well. I guess smartest man on the planet is cut off pretty low for me.
Fair.
But anyway, he believes it's the most likely answer to why we are here. Honestly, his reasoning sort of makes sense too, because he says quote, there's 1 billion to 1 chance we're living in base reality. Rich Terrell, scientist, if you don't know what that means, it's essentially means it's a very rare chance that we aren't in a simulation, is what he's saying right there. Rich Terrell, scientist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, believes this as well, saying, quote, quite frankly, if we are not living in a simulation, it is an excuse me, it is an extraordinarily unlikely circumstance. And I mean, if you cast all religious beliefs aside for a moment and focus purely on scientific reasoning for us being here, there really isn't one. You know what I'm saying? Or we haven't found
get what
it.
You're saying, yeah.
The argument is extrapolated from observing current trends in technology, including the rise of VR and efforts to map and mimic the human brain. If we believe there's nothing supernatural, again, like religion or anything like that about what causes consciousness, and it's merely the product of a very complex architecture in the human brain, then in essence, we will be able to one day reproduce it. At the same time, video games are also becoming more and more sophisticated, and in the future, we will be able to have simulations of conscious entities inside them. Fun fact, I had a professor who believed this before I even knew that it was a thing. He always used to tell us to not get too hung up on shit because we're all in a simulation anyway and nothing really matters. And then he told us that if we killed ourselves, that we would wake up from it. But don't try it, just in case he's wrong.
Oh yeah, please don't kill yourself. Hey,
oh no, yeah, no,
that's
please
one of
don't.
our more popular.
Please don't.
That I was just so.
Oh yeah, we have episodes called that.
It's a series that we do called Please Don't.
Yes, we do.
And then it's something
Joke
bad,
right
like
over Jayme's
killing
head,
yourself.
'cause I'm an idiot.
But also, please don't kill yourself, and please check yourself into a hospital if you feel like you are a danger to yourself or others. Like, legitimately, please.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Mom, time over. We can get back to the fun stuff.
Oh well, that's really all I had on that. But according to the New Yorker, the one other thing I found was that there's even 2 unnamed tech billionaires secretly engaging scientists to work on breaking us out of the simulation.
Why? We're obviously here for a reason. I don't want to go to some like fucking
what if the reason is to break out of the simulation?
Oh, I don't know, man.
What if though?
I know, man, but also, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Kind of leads,
but I know.
Kind of leads into the next thing. Like, would you be surprised if it happened though?
If it turned out that we were in a simulation,
yeah.
I just breathe real weird. My sinuses are so clogged up. Whatever, it would, because you'd think that they would have gotten some of the things better on the actual human body, because this thing is made of some fucked up, just like jelly meat. This whole thing.
Well,
All of it, including the brain. The brain is just electro jelly, and I'm over it.
well, I thought you were gonna say yes, that you, or I mean, I thought you were gonna say you wouldn't be surprised, and it was gonna lead into my next thing, but then you completely fucked up what I was gonna
So
do.
I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. Tell me.
cool.
Tell me why I'm not surprised.
That would fall right in line with predictive programming theory, which is the next topic.
Oh shit!
Actually, Emily's kind of right though. She just like literally disproved predictive programming theory, which is like the whole article I read on it was disproving it, and most of the stuff I read on it was disproving it. But I really want to talk about it because I think it's very interesting. It's a reoccurring element across many conspiracy theories, such as the moon landing and 9/11. 9/11.
9/11.
The basic idea of predictive programming is that seeing something portrayed in popular media will prevent people from reacting to the same event when it actually happens in their own lives. Rather than resisting it, they'll accept it and move on, essentially. It's something that people aren't aware of. They are persuaded unconsciously, subliminally, without their knowledge or consent. And a major component of predictive programming theory is the idea that if someone sees something that they've seen depicted in fiction, they react to it with resigned indifference and maybe, if any, a half-hearted protest. According to this view, the mere portrayal of some social condition in fiction programs people with the idea. Hold on. Let me reread that. That sounded weird.
Maybe it's just because I don't like The Matrix that much.
Maybe. I've never actually seen it, so I more picture
really
the scene from Futurama where they go visit Fry's grandparents at the old folks' home.
Oh, yeah.
Like, maybe we're all old people.
I would love to turn out to be an old person. I feel like old people are so peaceful.
Yeah. That's so true.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
It's okay. Anyway, where were we? According to this view, the mere portrayal of some social condition in fiction programs people with the idea that it's inevitable and shouldn't be resisted. So, for example, let's use a popular one and say hypothetically it comes out Bush did actually orchestrate 9/11. So, if predictive programming holds true, then there would be little to no surprise in the masses that already have heard this story, and therefore not as much as a backlash from them, since that idea had already been placed in the mind of the masses. Does it explain it better with the example?
No, yeah, I get what you're saying.
Okay, cool.
I like that a lot.
It's weird. It's a lot of the times it's been disproven. But yeah, there's an example or like coincidences. Like there's that Johnny Bravo scene where you see the Twin Towers on fire before the Twin Towers got hit.
Oh, yeah.
And then
That's scary.
There's a comic book where it's like terrorists have struck the Twin Towers or something that they show. I don't know. I watched a bunch of videos on. Just look up YouTube videos on predictive programming.
You went down a rabbit hole or two for this episode, didn't you?
Yeah. I didn't go down a rabbit hole for the next one though, because I just wanted to know like the science behind it because I didn't really think anything.
Because the shit's fucking water vapor.
Yeah, but I wanted to know what happened. Why is it there forever? We're talking about chemtrails, folks.
Tell me about chemtrails.
Chemtrails are the government releasing chemicals into the air that have they're making the entire pesticide community gay so that they get into our food supply.
The pesticide community is turning gay. Is that what you just fucking said to me?
Yeah, like okay, so the pesticides get into the food that you eat, right? And then the food that you eat turns the community gay. That's where I was going with that.
Okay.
Yeah. That was Alex Jones, if you didn't know. He was just here. It was weird. I had to kick his ass out.
It's in the water.
In the water. Turning the frogs gay.
turning the frogs gay. Oh, he has left now though, because
He
it
left,
had
yeah,
to have
because
been
we're gonna talk
Alex
about him
Jones.
later. Yeah,
Oh,
we're gonna spoiler fun alert. We're gonna end the episode with Alex Jones.
spoiler fun alert.
But anyway, let's talk about chemtrails right now. Oh, excuse me, Ruby. Hi. Anyway, chemtrails. I want to thank howstuffworks.com for teaching me how these shits work and like where it came from anyway. But jet engine traffic has become so common that it's not unusual to see lingering streaks in the afternoon sky, and though many think these cloud bands are beautiful, others are alarmed by seeing them. So, some people with concerns believe that these cloud trails are exacerbating. I hate that word.
Exacerbating.
Right.
Yeah, no,
I hate that word.
it's bad.
They think that it's increasing global warming, while others have more elaborate theories, including governments secretly releasing harmful substances into the air and land via airplanes. And an estimated 17% of people globally believe that this theory could be true or partially true. Allegedly, water condensation trails,
Allegedly.
nicknamed contrails, they're actually called contrails, from aircraft, that's their scientific term, consist of chemical or biological agents which contain supposedly a toxic mix of aluminum, strontium, and barium. But here's why you shouldn't be afraid, because jet engines spew out very hot air, and because water vapor is one of those byproducts of the exhaust, the air is also very humid. And while they're high up in the sky where the jets are, it's really cold, often negative 40 degrees, and atmosphere at that height has low vapor pressure. So when a jet engine is spewing out all this hot, humid air into the atmosphere that is really cold and has low vapor pressure, the result is condensation, or the water vapor quickly condenses into droplets and then crystallizes into ice. And the ice crystals are clouds that we see forming behind the engine. So essentially, they're just trails of clouds. They're called
Oh,
condensation trails, and they have shortened it to contrails. And to help explain it, scientists like to liken it to how you see your breath on cold days. So the explanation kind of makes sense. But
yeah, no, that actually like makes so much sense.
as author and airline pilot Patrick Smith writes, the contrails, I got this from howstuffworks.com, you guys. I don't actually know who that is or what book this is from. The contrails consist of not just ice crystals and water vapor, but also byproducts of engine exhaust, which includes carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxides, sulfate particles, and soot. Some like to point out that these, in addition to extra cloud cover, can have negative environmental effects. Therefore, they were nicknamed chemtrails, right? Because
Yeah,
then they suspect that governments could be taking advantage of this scientific phenomenon to secretly release other substances.
that's so like no,
What, like,
no,
what is
nobody cares that much about you,
That's what I'm
honey.
saying. Why? Why would they spend money to do that?
Yeah,
They
that
don't
makes no
care that
sense to
much.
me.
No one cares that much about you, honey.
Honey, please
This
stop.
is
Please
not
think
that
of somebody else
important.
once. Pretty much. Oh,
Is that all? You got
God.
anything else to say about chemtrails?
No, chemtrails is one of those that I just have never understood.
Me either.
But this next one I've never heard of, so I'm very interested.
This next one is actually very recent. It's February of this year, y'all. Yeah,
Oh.
shout out to rollingstone.com for this, because I used their article primarily.
Only the hottest tea.
No, I'm just saying they took CNN's article, which was super fucking long, and summarized it. So I was like,
we appreciate a summarizing queen.
Thank you, Rolling
but
Stone.
Also, this is some very, very hot tea.
It is kind of hot tea because
it's a little hot. It's a little too hot to drink.
Is it?
It's just barely.
It's a little spicy tea.
Spicy tea.
Well, got that little spice. You didn't expect it.
Tell me.
You didn't expect it to come up, but it's coming up, and it's James Brown. Do you feel good? Because I don't think the. Is that James Brown?
No. I have no idea.
No. Is that James Brown?
No.
I know, you're just racist.
Okay, anyway.
Oh no.
Eric, I'm right. You dick. He said no.
Who knows?
But I'm right. I'm pretty sure I'm right. Am I right?
Somebody Google
He's
it.
Googling it at the moment. But the conspiracy is that his death was not an overdose. He was murdered, maybe.
No.
Yes. There was a lengthy investigation published by CNN on January 29th of this year that alleged the circumstances of James Brown's death are very suspicious, and his ex-wife Adrienne may not have died of an accidental overdose. She could have been poisoned.
Poisoned?
Yeah, here's the tea. Brown died on Christmas Day in 2006 from a heart attack and fluid in his lungs. But there was never an autopsy performed on his body, right? The doctor who treated Brown before his death told CNN he, quote, doubted Brown had died of natural causes. He suspected that Brown, quote, died of an overdose, accidental or otherwise. At least 13 people connected with Brown felt his death should be investigated, or at least an autopsy should be performed. Are you showing me that James Brown, I Feel Good, is the song that I was singing and I was right?
Yes.
I am showing that to you because I noticed that he got quiet. I noticed he suddenly got quiet.
Whoa, say that louder.
You're correct.
Yay!
Woo!
No.
Jamie's not just a racist.
And now I have it on tape, he says.
On tape? How old are you fucking grandmother?
We're recording this on an old, one of those, it's like a microfiche.
Yes, and we just email it out to our different,
That's it.
or regular mail. We regular mail it out to people. That's why we're such a small podcast still.
Where did I stop?
I don't even know.
Okay, yeah.
I was too busy trying to figure out.
The 13 people that were connected to James Brown felt that his death should be investigated, or at least an autopsy, right? The first installment of the 3-part investigation details Brown's legacy of alleged assaults or threats that was like directed toward, like, that he did to other people.
Okay.
Part 2, I'm not going to get into that because that's not what this is about. Part 2 covers the death of Adrienne in 1996, and though it was ruled an overdose, CNN found evidence that Adrienne feared for her life in the months leading up to her death.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, a police informant alleges that the singer's wife was murdered by a doctor. His name was kept anonymous, but he says, quote, because he has not been named as a suspect. Oh, sorry. His name was kept out of the story because he's not been named a suspect in Adrienne Brown's death. That was a quote from the CNN article. Then they think that he did it and made it look like an accident, essentially. In addition, Brown's fourth wife, Tamare, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Tempura.
Okay. Tells CNN that Brown himself believed his third wife had been killed. When confronted, the doctor who was being questioned claimed that he has Alzheimer's disease and he denies any involvement in Adrienne's death, saying, I know I had nothing to do with anything you're talking about. That is
Very
sus, my
sus.
guy. That is sus.
Very sus.
And then the final part of the story is devoted to like a list of questions such as why was no autopsy performed? Good fucking question. That all the questions form further basis for investigation. For example, a man named Darren Lamar, who is Brown's son-in-law, was among those who believed that the singer was murdered, and he was mysteriously shot to death. There was also rumors of a second will of James Brown's that's never come to light, and a theory that he was poisoned. In addition, there is a story about a vial of blood that was taken from the singer's body the night of his death, and then that, if that could be uncovered, it could reveal what killed him.
Oh. Oh my lord. That is some creepy, like,
That just came
underground.
out.
That done been just fresh. I don't know.
You know what I think I
What
actually
what just came out of my mouth? What is happening to me? My meds are not all the way good yet.
okay.
Apparently.
I liked it.
Wow.
I liked it.
I appreciate you.
You know what? I think I heard this story about James Brown from Dave Ross. From a Bonus Buddies episode.
Oh, I am behind on the Bonus Buddies at
That
the moment.
might have been where I heard about it. Because I was like, what? I need to Google that. And then I looked it up and I was like, what?
Well, shout out Dave Ross for directly influencing the fact that this podcast even exists and also giving us one of our topics for today.
I think, if not, shout out to him anyway. Yeah.
If anything, yeah, honestly, this podcast stands a lot.
Yes. Yeah. And we're going to take on that note, we're going to take a break. And when we can come back, it's going to get even more intense, y'all.
Oh, we're going to talk about stuff like what?
Intense, like camping.
Camping? Okay. Intense camping. I am very excited. We will.
Intense.
Oh,
you missed the pun. It's okay.
I did.
We'll break on that.
I did. Okay, we're gonna go chill for a second. Cry. You guys chill too. And welcome back. Hey, what's up, you guys? No. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. That's kind of true because like these last 3 stories we got going. No.
They make you feel no.
We'll bring it back up. Don't worry. We'll bring you back up. But the first 2 we're gonna talk about, I don't know, kind of scary.
Okay.
The first thing we're gonna talk about is I'm gonna pronounce this probably weirdly wrong a few times because I first heard of it on last podcast on the left. They call it the Dilatov Pass, and it's actually the Dyatlov Pass. They misspelled it. So if you want to look up their episode, it's 152. I'll mention that again later. So, and we'll put it in the description or some shit like that. But this is where I first heard of it. But it's the Dilatov Pass. See, I just did it right there. The Dyatlov. That's it. The Dyatlov Pass. It's it. And I want to preface saying it's a really long story, and quite frankly, we could do an entire episode on it. They did. Go listen to it if you want to hear a whole episode of it. It's very interesting, and I find it interesting as fuck. And I made the outline this week, so we're gonna talk about it. But I'm gonna give a brief synopsis of what happened, and then we'll talk about how it might be a conspiracy. So, in 1959, the frozen bodies of a 9-member ski hiking expedition that had gone missing weeks before in the Urals of the Soviet Union was found near a campsite on a mountain called Kholat Syakhl, I think.
Okay.
So, you know the story is going to end up bad. Their bodies were found.
Okay.
The team, mostly students and graduates from the Euro Polytechnic Institute, set out on January 27th to reach another mountain about 7 miles away, but they were unfortunately sidetracked because of a snowstorm. They set up camp on February 2nd, and none of them would live to see the next day, or so we think. Uh, Apart from hypothermia, their
Okay.
cause of death is somewhat inexplicable. The tent they were sleeping in had been sliced open from the inside with what appeared to be jagged, frantic cuts. So they were subsequently, I hate that word, abandoned, leaving the majority of their belongings. So that suggests they left in a hurry to escape some sort of imminent danger. Investigators found footprints in the snow of 8 or 9 people who were either wearing socks, a single shoe, or were totally barefoot. So these people had to leave so quickly that they didn't even take their fucking shoes. The
What the fuck?
the footsteps lead towards a dense forest, but disappear after about 500 meters. And then the first 2 bodies were found about 1.5 kilometers from the tent, at the edge of the forest by the remains of a fire. These men are barefoot, wearing only underwear. The trees surrounding them had a lot of the branches pulled down, and there were skin fragments found on the trees, alluding to the possibility that someone tried to climb the tree in attempt to avoid something, but they'd used the branches for fire, I would think they would use the branches for fire. We'll get to it. Hold on. Sorry, I'm thinking ahead of myself. So, a lot of the branches were pulled down from the trees, and skid fragments were found on the trees, meaning somebody probably clawed to try to get up. Right. The next 3 bodies were found between where the fire was and the first 2 bodies and the tent, suggesting that they may have tried to return to the tent after fleeing them. Included in these 3 was the expedition leader Igor Dyatlov and another man and woman. Autopsies failed to find any evidence of foul play. An inquest concluded that all 5 had died of hypothermia, and then they had to wait for the snow to thaw to search anymore, essentially.
What the fuck?
Yeah, they're in the middle of Russia in the Ural Mountains. It's really fucking snowy, so it's like dangerous for them to even search for these bodies.
That's all very unsettling.
Yeah, it gets worse. So if you didn't like that part, you guys won't like the next part.
Awesome. I love being the host of this podcast.
The other 4 members of the team were found in a forest ravine. It wasn't far from where the first 2 bodies were found, and all of the bodies are partially dressed. Here's a cringe warning. Most of the bodies appeared to have suffered traumatic pressure/crush injuries. The female body had no tongue and no eyes. She also had quite a bit of coagulated blood in her stomach, suggesting that the tongue came out while she was still alive. Otherwise, how could she have swallowed so much blood? Or why would she have? Tests conducted on the bodies/clothing also showed small traces of radiation, which were kind of left unexplained. Investigators concluded enigmatically that the skiers died because they encountered a, quote, natural force they were unable to overcome. And the rules of the investigation was classified. Public access to the site where you could find information on this was banned for 3 years following this. So that in itself is suspicious, right?
Yes, like to the point where Mike just opened his door and walked into the hallway, and I like full on jumped. Wow. That's like super sus and creepy and gives me a lot of feelings that I don't like.
Like some natural thing just up and
showed up.
There's a lot of unexplained things there. But wait, word to Billy Mays, there's more. It was reported by eyewitnesses in the northern Urals at the time. They saw what was described as, quote, balls of fire in the night sky around the same time of the Dyatlov Pass incident, it's been suggested that these could have been Soviet missile or rocket tests. Even aliens have been suggested. 31 years after the incident, another theory even came up. One of the original investigators on the case, he was a former public prosecutor. His name is Lev Ivanov. He claimed that the fireballs, whatever they may have been, must have emitted a beam of unspecified energy that directly caused these deaths or was directly related to the deaths. And this theory assumes that the reported sightings do in fact match up with the actual date of the incident in February, but that has also been challenged because there's a guy, he's a Russian mountaineer, his name is Evgeny Buyanov. He says he's found no verifiable reports of UFOs in the Urals on Dyatlov deaths focused on straightforward natural causes like avalanche slash. Wait, what am I? Where am I? I skipped a line. He found no verifiable reports of UFOs in the Urals on those dates. Before his article came out in 1990, the predominant explanations for the deaths focused on straightforward natural causes. So, like an avalanche, an animal attack. Or
avalanche makes
the other
some
one
sense.
was secret government activities, such as KGB operations that the skiers accidentally stumbled upon. One other hypothesis proposed in a June 2014 Discovery Channel documentary called Russian Yeti, The Killer Lives. I bet you can guess what their hypothesis is based on that title alone.
Yeah, a little bit.
It says, quote, on February 2nd, 1959, 9 college students hiked up the icy slopes of the Ural Mountains in the heart of Russia, but never made it out alive. Investigators have never been able to give a definitive answer behind who or what caused the bizarre scene. 55 years later, American explorer Mike Lebecki reinvestigates the mystery known as the Dyatlov Pass incident. But what he uncovers is truly horrifying. Following the trail of evidence, Mike finds proof that the hikers were not alone. A photograph taken by one of the hikers a day before they died that suggests they may have encountered a Yeti.
Oh, that went in a way that I did not see it going. Oh my.
Well, I mean, the title of the documentary is called Russian Yeti, The Killer Lives.
Yeah, but I also, part of me was thinking maybe they just had a cute nickname for the killer.
Oh, no, they're talking about it like an abominable snowman.
The abominable snowman killed their asses.
Yeah, so it's long been rumored that Yeti-like beasts inhabit the wilds of Siberia and the Ural Mountains to the west, but unfortunately, like everywhere else, they've allegedly been sighted. No one has come forward with verifiable evidence of their existence. Nevertheless, the show's host of the Yeti documentary, Mike Lebecki, says the Dyatlov Pass incident proves that they're real. Quote, when I found out one of the students was missing a tongue, immediately I knew this was not caused by an avalanche. Something ripped out the tongue of this woman. And then as further evidence, he presents an alleged photo of the Yeti taken by a member of the expedition, which, in my opinion, kind of just looks like an adult male that's hunched over. There's also other reasonable explanations for the missing tongue besides a fucking Yeti pulled it out. Straightforward hypothesis is that it was a scavenging animal, or it could have decomposed due to constant contact with a stream of running water where the body was found. But then if there wouldn't be stomach blood if that was the case. And then the other thing was, I heard on the last podcast on the left, was that her body was positioned in a way where it would not have been face down in the stream, or it wouldn't have been a way for it to be in the stream. And hers was the only one that was like that. Autopsy reports say the proximate cause of death of all but one of the victims, even those who suffered internal trauma, was hypothermia. All of them cause of death is
Huh.
hypothermia.
Really?
That's how all of them were listed.
Even though it's a bunch of stomach blood?
Yep. An avalanche could account for some of the unexplained aspects of the incident, including why the skiers fled their tent without taking any any of their stuff, and why some sustained the kind of injuries that they did. You may object that an avalanche doesn't explain everything, like the radioactivity found on the bodies, but neither does a Yeti attack. There are a ton of unanswered questions, and the fact is that the fact that the case was kept from the public makes it even more suspicious. There was one phenomenon that they sort of partially explains why they would have left their tents with micro tornado type storms that occur in mountains that are a scientific thing that it's hard to explain. They talk about it more on the last podcast episode, but it is a phenomena that happens with weather where it's like a tiny tornado and it's really loud and it would scare the shit out of you, essentially making you want to stab yourself out of a tent maybe and run away and panic and leave the tent, and then not know how to get back once it like destroyed all of everything where you were. But then that doesn't explain why the Russian government tried so hard to keep the event under wraps,
Right.
It's all very strange.
Everything about that is all very strange and makes me scared.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. That's all you got.
That's all I got. Okay. That's all my thoughts on that one.
Because we've got more.
We do. This one's not as gruesome, if it makes you feel better. It does unfortunately involve mentally ill, a group of mentally ill men.
Oh.
This has been nicknamed the American Dyatlov Pass incident. It's also known as the Yuba County 5. I don't know if this one is technically considered a conspiracy theory, but there is some inexplicable shit that went on here. And shout out to Reddit OPs on our Unresolved Mysteries, because they had a lot of sources on there about this. And episode 36 of the What If podcast is where I originally heard about this, and it's just sus. It's like the last one. It's sus, That's what
There's
this whole episode is. But this story covers 5 men from Northern California who went to a college basketball game and never came home. All 5 had intellectual disabilities or psychiatric issues to various degrees. For example, one of them had schizophrenia, but he was treated by medication. He had it under control. He hadn't had a breakout, according to his medical professionals that were interviewed afterwards. He hadn't had one for 2 years, so he was functioning properly. He just had schizophrenia. Another one was described as slow. All of them lived with their family, who kept a really close eye on them. And they were lovingly referred to as boys, despite being from 24 to 32 years old. So their mental state wasn't debilitating, like they were able to function independently. Some of them were even in the service for a period of time, but spontaneously changing a planned road trip was very out of character for these guys. So one of them owned a Mercury, and he cherished this car, by the way. That'll be important later. So he drove with his 4 friends to a collegiate basketball game at a California State University. All of them fervent basketball fans, even had a game of their own scheduled for the following day. So obviously, they're not planning on being gone for more than a few hours. They leave the basketball game and are seen at a convenience store buying junk food for the drive home. When it hit 3 a.m. and they still weren't home, the moms are obviously distraught. start calling each other's the other boys' parents, and soon the police are involved. Sorry, Ruby just jumped. Okay. A man and a park ranger had reported to the authorities seeing an abandoned Mercury on February 28th, which was 4 days after the basketball game the boys went to. The authorities found the Mercury about 50 miles out of Chico, which was the town that the game was in the opposite direction of their home. Their junk food had been consumed, save half a candy bar, and the keys to the vehicle were gone. It had enough gas to continue, but a snowbank had likely caused its tires to spin out. But 5 able-bodied men should have been able to push out this car without much difficulty. The Mercury appeared to be abandoned when the guys went up to it that found it, and around them police saw nothing but rugged, dense forest. Organizing a search party was also very difficult because it was across rough terrain filled with rocky surfaces, wooded paths, and snow-covered slopes. The families of the boys raised $2,600 reward for any information. They even petitioned psychics and waited by the phone but heard nothing until the thaw came, which is similar to the last one. So we're in June of that year, and a small group of motorcyclists came across an abandoned Forest Service trailer in a campground site. So they were curious, so they went inside. What they found, though, would be slightly upsetting. They found a body tucked into a bed, draped in the sheets from head to toe, and when lifting the veil, they found one of these men with his shoes missing and his feet badly frostbitten. They also found a pair of sneakers belonging to one of the other men. And it's important to note that this trailer was 19 miles away from the car they drove. So they had to have walked.
So the Mercury was found 50 miles from a town in the opposite direction of their home.
The town that they went to the basketball game is where they were 50 miles away from.
Chico, and then they were 50 miles away from that, and then this guy walked another 19 miles.
All of them probably. Well, we'll get there. Yeah, this guy walked 19 miles more. Found this trailer. The window was smashed on the trailer, so they obviously had climbed in from a window. And there was also there was a pair of sneakers in the trailer.
Okay.
Soon after finding the trailer, they found 2 more bodies, which were 4.5 miles away from that. And that would have been about 12 miles away from where the car was. Police believed their bodies were there because they'd given up before they found shelter while the other one kept going.
Gotcha.
The keys to the car were found in one of those 2 men's pocket, who was the owner, because he prized his car. He wasn't just going to leave his keys,
Right.
Not long after, the 4th man's bones were found. The strangest part probably is that the last man was never found aside from his tennis shoes, which were the ones that were in the trailer.
Wow.
Almost certainly they think that he took the leather shoes from the man who was found in the trailer dead, although they don't have any real idea why. What puzzled them most was the first man found in the trailer. He was found emaciated, which essentially means he was starved to death, despite the fact that the trailer had been stocked with plenty of canned and dried food and a can opener. And from this man's beard growth, it could be confirmed that he had been living in that trailer anywhere from 8 to 13 weeks. But only about 12 cans had been opened, and he hadn't bothered to turn on a propane tank, which was available and could have provided heat for the entire trailer for quite some time. In addition, there were several paperback books that would have been perfect for fires. They were left untouched. No one had even bothered to cover the broken window that they smashed. So, like, how did this dude survive for 2 months?
Sheer force of human will.
I suppose.
And think about the medications they were probably on that they no longer had.
There was only one that they said was on strong medication.
Okay.
Was the schizophrenic. That's all that was mentioned anyway.
And which one is the schizophrenic in this picture now?
That's a good question. I took out all their names because I felt weird.
Got you.
Yeah, so I had to say
gotcha.
like one man, one right. I don't know. But a year after, they're no closer to solving the mystery. The final body never turned up to this day, which is even stranger to me. Besides, like I said, the fact that his tennis shoes were in the trailer. There was never any accounting for their strange decision to turn toward unfamiliar territory, seemingly walk nearly 20 miles to a trailer in frigid conditions with no coat. None of the men thought to walk downhill from where they came, and instead faced the treacherous and unfamiliar path ahead uphill. Why? The car window was left rolled down, and it was snowing and freezing, and a man who prized his car wouldn't do that. There's just, I don't know, there's just so many questions.
That is super weird. Both of these have not really been conspiracy. They've just been feel bad, weird, unsolved stories.
What? There's conspiracies surrounding the stories. The second one I didn't think was as conspiracy, but it was it was like Dilatov Pass Part 2.
Right. No, that's crazy.
It's okay though. I think it's gonna be fun to end the episode on a note, a fun note. Fun to end it on a fun.
Something
happy fun times.
People love to hate.
If you're an Alex Jones fan, this will not be fun for you, but
if you're an Alex Jones fan, I'm surprised you're listening to this podcast and gotten this far.
If you're listening to this podcast, you probably don't really even know who he is, because I didn't really know who he was. Like,
oh, I am very aware of who Alex Jones is.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about some of the fun things he said. If you don't know who he is, he's a radio host, up until recently a YouTube personality. He has a site called InfoWars, which is a far-right, fake news-focused website that receives approximately 10 million monthly visits. Its reach is greater than some mainstream news sites like The Economist and Newsweek. That fucks with my head.
Crazy. I hate that.
One of his most notorious conspiracy theories that the government is using one of his most notorious conspiracy theories is that the government is using chemicals in order to turn people gay, using a mysterious gay bomb devised by the Pentagon. On a broadcast in 2010, Jones says, "The reason there's so many gay people is because of chemical warfare operation, and I have the government documents where they say they're going to encourage homosexuality with chemicals so that people don't have children." And then in 2017, he semi-pivoted that, saying, "The majority of frogs in most areas of the United States are now gay." And that he didn't like the government, quote, putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
Oh, is Alex back?
No, sorry. I'll kick him out again.
Okay, because wow, suddenly he was here in the room with us.
Might be. Get the fuck out of here, man. Nobody wants you. Go back to InfoWars. I'm sorry you got kicked off YouTube.
I'm not sorry.
Yeah, me either. He also believes that the government is controlling the weather. In 2013,
that's crazy.
He says, quote, "Of course there's weather weapon stuff going on. We had floods in Texas like 15 years ago, killed 30-something people in one night. Turned out it was the Air Force."
Turns out it was the Air Force?
He believes...
What?
He believes natural disasters have been the result of government interference since the early 90s. He said major Western governments have been secretly, quote, adding to jet fuel a whole host of radioactive isotopes to manipulate the weather, even going as far as to create and steer groups of tornadoes. They'll tell you stuff you know about GPS and all that, but when it comes to controlling the weather, they don't.
I just don't understand what he's even saying sometimes. What is he talking about? What is the boy talking about?
Exactly.
Somebody explain it to me.
Exactly. He's also been said to believe the coming New World Order is a, quote, demonic high-tech tyranny formed by Satanist elites who
Demonic.
manufacture economic health crises and are using selective breeding to create a supreme race.
The whole Hillary's a demon thing kills me.
Whoa,
I love
Ruby.
it. Makes me laugh really hard.
Oh, actually, he thinks that Hillary Clinton is running a sex ring out of a pizza parlor.
Oh, I forgot about that one. The Pizzagate. Pizzagate was some shit.
Yeah, he doesn't like Bill Gates either. He thinks he's a eugenist that's trying to wipe out minorities.
Well, I'm not a big fan of Bill Gates either, but for different reasons that are probably parallel, but in entirely different dimensions from Alex Jones.
What else did he say? Let's see here. The government is complicit in countless terrorist and lone gunman attacks. And that's
Like Sandy Hook.
Yeah. Oh, this is the last one I have that Eric showed me. It's on YouTube. Out of the sewer, literal vampire potbelly goblins are hobbling around, coming after us.
Really?
That is
I have
something
not
he
seen any
actually
recently.
said.
I thought I had gotten rid of mine.
Somebody said that for real in real life.
I know, honey. I'm sorry. He's just trying to make money off of old people. That's the saddest part.
Yeah.
Is he's making money off of old people. These are poor people.
Yeah, that is true. Don't make me sad. That was supposed to make us laugh at how dumb he is.
I mean, he's very easy to laugh at because he is pretty fucking stupid, but yeah, I don't know. That's kind of the sad part of all of it, is that these conspiracies, sometimes they help people build community, which you see in like the flat earth documentaries about people who believe in that they have a lot of community built around their conspiracy theories. That's how they get through their day, is like the people that they know. But then some of them are just fear mongering, like Alex Jones.
Right.
We ended up on like two different ends of the spectrum here between flat earth, because flat earth is like 100% people doing it on their own. That's just gotten so big. While the shit Alex Jones thinks literally fuels his own consumerism, which is supposed to be New World Order demon stuff.
The demonic high-tech tyranny formed by Satanist elites?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And that concludes Emily's Wisdom Hour.
I was just going to say, I felt like when you were saying that, it flashed across the... You know how Simply Illogical does the wisdom with dad or whatever? It flashed across the screen right there when you just said that part. Real talk with Emily.
Well, if you watch any documentaries about people who believe in conspiracy, about 15-20 minutes into it, you look at it and go, oh no, this is mentally ill people.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. And you have to know that those people need help, but they're looking for the help that they think they can get.
Yeah.
And you have to hope that it's people finding each other instead of finding people like Alex Jones who just want to manipulate them.
Yeah. Or finding people like us, like awesome people
I
like
hope
us
people
who are
find us.
hilarious and fun to listen to.
Because we're just trying to help.
Yes.
I promise.
And we hope we at least made you think, maybe. Hope we cheered you up.
We've gotten so much just sheer unadulterated love from people.
Yes.
Like, I feel like we don't get too much feedback, too many emails to the pod, but when we do, they either have so much care and time put into them or just it's sheer love.
Yep. Thank you for
And
that.
that's incredible. We've had some incredible emails to the pod that have straight up made me cry.
Same. And the iTunes review made me cry too.
Yeah, we have like one iTunes review and we love you.
Yeah, I don't know who
We
you
love
are, but I love you. You're the best. And yeah, that's all we have today, folks. I hope you're being safe. Even if you want to follow us,
safety is the
key.
number one thing.
Safety is key. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, that's where you'll be notified if we do anything important or whatever. And also sometimes dumb memes. Most times dumb memes.
Most of the time, dumb memes.
Podcast is at Diarrhea Guys. Emily is at Emily is Harry, and I am at JMECART. That's Jayme Cart.
And we love you. You can email the pod at youshouldgettherapy@gmail.com.
Ayo.
And we will talk to you next time. See you later.
Bye. Love you.
Bye.